Good evening, everyone. For those of you joining from the United States, from Austin, from California, anywhere in the US. And yes, Farzad has not yet a giga beer. Can you share with the audience what are you drinking?
I am drinking. This is Stony Hazy IPA. It's the first time I'm having it. Actually, I bought it from HEB a couple of days ago. Never had it, and it's pretty good. It's a hazy IPA, hoppy, sweet, delicious, cold. What else can you say? It's amazing. Thank you for having me, man. I'm looking forward to it.
Happy to have you here. And good morning for those of you joining from Asia Pacific. It is 9 a.m. in Singapore, Greater China. It's 10 a.m. in Japan. For our Kiwi friends, I think it's at 1 p.m. in the afternoon right now, really far in the future. So we welcome back Farzad to today's live stream. Just want to give everyone a short update. So 2 days ago, we hosted Alexandra Mers. We were talking about investment grade credit rating, and fate loves irony. Sawyer
Yeah,
Merritt just
right.
shared that Moody's finally upgraded Tesla to investment grade.
It was
It
you
took them
guys. It was you guys.
it took them a while, but they did it. So now Tesla is officially double investment grade by both ratings agencies. The next step is, I believe, for S&P Global to upgrade Tesla one leg up to A grade, which puts it in blue chip stock status. So we'll see how that goes. But our goal today with Farzad is to talk about Tesla. Life at and after Tesla. Tesla is growing a lot, as Elon Musk and the team revealed in Master Plan Part 3. There is a lot to do. And with so much to do in a decade ahead for Tesla, building EVs is only 21% of the total mission impact. With so much to do, Tesla is going to grow. They've just announced Gigafactory in Mexico. They will be hiring probably upwards of 10,000 employees. As Farzad just shared, there is another parallel Gigafactory that will come up soon, that will be announced in the months to come, that will be similar footprint and impact to Giga Mexico. Each of this producing up to 2 million cars a year. And so as Tesla hires more people, it also means that the demand for talent will grow. And more of us will also be considering opportunities at Tesla. Should I work there? Is it crazy? How do I sustain myself? And what happens to me after a few years at Tesla? So hello to everyone on live stream watching. I see 18 of you right now. Some of you may be currently working for Tesla. Maybe you've already left Tesla, or you are thinking about joining Tesla. So we will talk about that. So Farzad, welcome back again to the channel. Now, a lot has happened since Farzad left Tesla 18 months ago. The world has taken a shit show. Why do you do this to us, Farzad?
Listen, if I knew me leaving would cause this mayhem, I wouldn't have left, bro. You really think I want to inflict this kind of pain on the world? It's like, honestly, it's been a really it's been really strange because when I sat down and did the tweet, I'm like, okay, I'm just gonna. I troll on Twitter, man. I don't know if you follow me on Twitter, but I'm like, it's like I'm just whatever. It's fun. I have fun on Twitter. I'm trying to like allow everybody to see all the sides of me. It's like this is who I am. I'm just a dude who's crazy sometimes, and it's whatever. And but like I sat down and I'm like, oh my god, like a lot has happened. A lot truly has happened since I left in a very short period of time, and it's been thankfully for me, I still, even with that very challenging backdrop for so many people, I still feel so incredibly fortunate to be where I'm at, doing what I love, having worked at Tesla, company you and I both love, that gave me so many incredible memories for the, little over 4 years I was there, and so many skills and so many friendships and wisdom and just so many positive things that came out of that. And to now be where I'm at today, you know, didn't have any idea when I left. Literally, I left because I was like, this chapter is obviously closing. It's the perfect time for me to move on to the next thing and really pursue my true passions with my wife and I, and travel and see the world. And I didn't think this was nowhere in that plan. And once I started, I'm like, holy crap, it's incredible. It's absolutely incredible. And especially now in the last few months, it's become something more than just a hobby, which is how it started. It's become, I don't know, it's become something I do every day. It's just what I do. I wake up, I have a morning routine. I then start my quote unquote work. I don't even categorize it as work. It's just the thing that I do. And I create content. I share my ideas. I share my thoughts. I play in Excel and share my analytics, and talk to people that are very smart, so I can learn from them. I host community forums with my community. I'm building a community. I don't know, man. It's weird. I don't know what to say. It's like the weirdest thing ever. But I'm very thankful, man. I truly, truly, truly humbled and so thankful because when I think about when I think about where I am and I think about the rest of the world, I am so freaking lucky to be where I'm at. And every single day, thankfully for like I'm I feel thankful more than I ever felt. And I'm just grateful that I'm able to experience what I experience on a daily basis. And it's a blessing.
Could you have imagined 18 months ago, right after your last day at Tesla, that you would be living the life you're living today?
Not really. Not really. Only because such a good question. Only because I had no idea what I had no idea. I literally the kind of person I am is I'm a kind of an idiot. I'm kind of an idiot. When I go from gut feel sometimes when it comes to very bad very big decisions is when I know that I've have kind of the thing in place for me to move on. I move on and I try not to look back and I completely move on and I don't necessarily focus too much about what the clear picture is in front of me that I'm trying to achieve. I have trust that what I've learned will take me there. And if I just let the universe bring me along into whatever that is, then I'll know that I'm in the right place. So I'm not trying to force an outcome. I'm just going with the flow. And that's why I think traveling is so important. That's why I think talking is like with your significant others with as many people as possible is important because you get ideas, you get exposed to things you didn't know you would get exposed to that would trigger something or make you feel a certain way. And so maximizing that was my goal the second I left. And I naturally just fell into this just by happenstance. I just fell into it. And I absolutely couldn't have seen myself here, but I'm so happy that I am because it really does feel like something that I'm activating a muscle that I've kind of had for a lot of my career, but I'm doing it in a different context and in one where I have 100% autonomy, 100% control, and it's from the ground up. It's true my creation from the very, 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 very beginning, and it's extremely rewarding. And yeah, it's wild. And do you feel the same way with your stuff when you do your YouTube channel? Like how do you feel when you do that stuff?
It's starting to feel that way again. I have a day job, so I'm not doing this full time yet. That is a question I'd love to talk to you about as well on this,
Yeah.
because a lot of us think about how do we go from working for money to money working for us, and there's many ways. Whether you're an investor, whether you're an entrepreneur, building your own thing, like what you're doing right now. So I want to acknowledge everyone on live stream. Hello, Simon. Hello, Paul. Wherever you are in the world. Please leave us questions in the chat if you have any. We'll take them as they come. As Farzad mentioned, right now, he's got full ownership of what he's doing. So you are both the production line worker, the software engineer, the CEO, the board of directors. You are everything at Farzad Inc. or Farzinas Inc. Yes?
Yes.
And that sense of ownership is powerful. Now, every story has a beginning. And people usually think when you work in a corporation, you've got very little sense of ownership. And I think we're here today to really understand the beginning of the journey for Farzad in Tesla. So we rewind the clock now almost 6 years ago. For someone who just met you the first time, how will you describe your 4.5 years at Tesla, working in both Pennsylvania and Austin?
It was it was both the most rewarding and challenging job I've ever had, easily. I think for me, I was very passionate about the company's mission from it's facts. She is the true boss, 100% facts. And I'm here saying, yeah, it's me. No, it's my freaking, okay, yeah, seriously. Yeah. The most challenging and the most rewarding. I hope my wife sees this because I know she'll laugh. Anyway, let me see if I can get my.
For a few more minutes.
Perfect. Yeah. Just make it into the background. Like, so let's figure out how to make it into the background. The most rewarding and difficult for sure. It was a place where I joined it because I really wanted to be part of history in a way. I really wanted to be part of that story because I was just so. I felt like Tesla was getting so unfairly treated in the press. I felt like the company was getting a lot of negative attention it didn't deserve. Uh, partly because I'm an investor. I was an investor at the time as well. So obviously, if I'm invested in the company and I feel like people are dragging it through the mud on purpose, it's going to make me upset. But at the same time, I also had and still do have great admiration for Elon Musk and the people that work there because I'm like, man, look at these guys. They're literally busting their butts to try and move the future forward. And when the opportunity came up for me to be part of that story, I had to take it. I had to absolutely take it. I took a pay cut. I increased my hours by double. So it's basically an effective 4x. To my earnings per hour, whatever you want to call it. Like I took like a massive, massive cut. But the long-term potential of the company to me was very clear. And when I joined the company, when I made a negotiation for my compensation, I ensured that it was built around that. So with the intention that, hey, I want to be here for the long term so that I can capitalize on the returns of my time there. And I think looking back, that was a very risky thing for me to do because if the company failed for whatever reason, I would have lost out on a lot of earnings from being there. Because at my previous job, I was a executive at a distribution company, and I was well on my way to become part of let's call it the chief suite. I was a director, and I had a lot of great things going for me, and I was very thankful for those opportunities. And so if it failed, I would have been like out my stock. I would have taken a pay cut, and I would have worked 80 hours, 100 hours a week. And from that perspective, it would have sucked. But what wouldn't have changed was the fact that I was part of that story, because ultimately, that's what truly drove me to that place. And if I look back now and I think, okay, say the company went under for whatever reason, would I still have regretted my decision to work there? And it would have been simply a no, because the amount of knowledge I gained from my time there, especially around getting stuff done that seemed impossible, is invaluable. And that is part of the reason that now I feel so comfortable with things like trying different stuff all the time, not being too afraid of trying things that are maybe weird or that they're outside of the norm, or trying to approach things from a novel place and not trying too much to reason by analogy, but just approach it from a very baseline sort of fresh base. Try my best to the best of my ability. And that type of, I feel like, lesson is invaluable, regardless of how much you get paid. That type of lesson is invaluable. And being at a place where you got to experience that from everybody was a reinforcement that said that this is a legitimate way of approaching it. And the fact that Tesla was incredibly successful is proof that that approach is not just very valuable, but it seems to be by far the best way to do anything, given Tesla's metrics and you compare it to the rest of the competition. And so that's just like 30,000 feet. One of my biggest takeaways and learnings from there and sort of my time there was that. And, but it ain't easy, man. And it's not for everybody. It's not for everybody. I think a person has to be willing to take feedback very bluntly. They have to remove their ego as much as humanly possible. And they have to be willing to sacrifice a certain amount of time from their personal life, and also a certain amount of mental capacity that you're going to be working. I mean, really, you're working 24/7. You just don't know it. Because even when you're home, you're like, oh my God, how do I solve this? How do I solve this? You're on the weekend, you might be out to dinner with your wife or your girlfriend or boyfriend or whatever. Oh my God, crap. And you're like, yes, honey. Yeah. And in the back of your mind, you're like, oh man, that freaking thing. Like, it's just constant. So, and the work is so rewarding and it's so engaging that it's almost impossible to not do that. Yeah, that's a long-winded answer to your question.
Very important context. Today's live stream is also a very personal topic to me, because what I have not shared with Farzad yet is I just got laid off at Google. I worked in Google for 7 years.
Sorry to hear, dude.
For those who follow me on LinkedIn, you probably saw my announcement last month. But what that means is that I'm at an inflection point where I think about what's next. And yes, Tesla is one of those what's next. And so I think hearing this perspective is helpful not just for you, but also for me, for my soul as well as I think about this. Now, Farzad and I are Tesla investors, and Farzad's been investing in Tesla for years before joining Tesla back then. Farzad, when you start this journey, sometimes people say don't meet your heroes. And like we start work in Tesla, like those first few days, those first few weeks. How do you finally realize that, okay, I fit in here, they accept me, I am home?
Yeah, man. First, dude, I'm sorry to hear that. That bums me out. Sorry to hear about the layoff. That's a bummer, dude. You're gonna be more than fine. You're gonna, Mike. You're one of the brightest people I ever met. You don't even have to worry about it, bro. You got this. You'll land on your feet, no problem. For me, the first few weeks were very strange because I felt like the biggest idiot on planet Earth because I was surrounded by by far the most talented people I've ever met, but I'm also surrounded by the most hardworking people I ever met and the most driven people I ever met, and all in the same place. Like sometimes you'll meet like the hardest working person you've ever met at one company and the most talented person you ever met at a different company, you know? But all these people were just in the same freaking building. And we were in distribution, dude. We weren't even in manufacturing, we were in distribution. So I don't know what kind of magnet Tesla uses to pull in talent. It's like ridiculous. And so for like the first few weeks and months, I was like just a very severe sense of inadequacy that where I was like, why the hell? Why am I here? I feel like I'm not good enough, you know? And like this is coming from a person, again, like I come from a background. I was a director at a $1 billion distribution company, phenomenal mentorship, phenomenal staff. But it was corporate America, you know, it was very corporate America. And then to get thrown into this role, coming in basically at, you know, call it base level, but in reality, I was thrown into the fire to figure out how to grow this distribution network by, I don't know, 5x or 10x or however the hell, you know, big we had to make it to support Model 3 ramp and Model Y. And I'm like, boy, this is extremely difficult. This is extremely difficult. I had to learn a lot of new skills at once. And I was asked to work on things that I've never worked on before. And I was asked to do them with basically almost no help because it was up to me to figure out that help. It was up to me to figure out who to hunt down that would help me achieve this goal or this project. And over time, what I came to find out is as long as you're trying your best to experiment and try the solution, you will be okay. If you're connecting with the people that are proving out to be people that you can rely on to give you great information. Because the one thing that's very challenging at Tesla is that everybody's so damn busy all the time, that getting someone's attention is already hard. And so you have to really make sure you're growing a very, very strong network of people that you know will make time for you because they have every right to be very greedy with their time because they have to get stuff done, but they can also help you in the areas that you're working on. And you don't really know that unless you're just continually pinging people and trying to talk to as many people as humanly possible. And I was very fortunate to be surrounded by just the freaking right people at that building. And then I had my mentor, my leader at the time, Greg. He was extremely good at having that network because he had been there for like 5 years already. You know, so I was able to tap him and kind of get the knowledge that I needed, and then after that, it became a snowball. It became a snowball effect, because then you start getting confidence. You're like, okay, I knocked this one out. Holy crap, this one opened this door to talk to this person. Now I knocked this one out. Holy crap, this one opened this door to talk to this person. But the only reason that happened is because Tesla's very open about letting you experiment and letting you try things. They constantly innovate. And that mechanism is what opens the doors to be able to talk to people and really experiment and figure out what are the right ideas. So once I figured that out, my experience changed from a severe lack of confidence because I felt like I didn't belong. And then after maybe like month 3, the snowball really started. And by the end of year one, I felt like a freaking badass, bro. Like a badass. And then for the next 3 years, it was just making giant impact after giant impact after giant impact. And that's the one thing I found for everybody who was really successful at Tesla is that they kind of followed that sort of schematic, that sort of path. And you know, we had a saying that said if somebody's been at Tesla for more than a year, you know they're a badass because they were able to they were able to survive that first very 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 rough pressure cooker that is Tesla. And if you're surviving, man, it's freaking. There's no better feeling. I really think so. Outside of like doing your own thing, and like when you're working for a company, yeah, I just find it hard to believe how anything could be better. I could be
That's a
wrong.
powerful way to say it. And thank you to everyone for all the kind words in the chat, like all the unsung heroes, people with different perspectives as well. And when we think about life in Tesla, most of us watching this are Tesla investors. Working in Tesla can sometimes come across as very mythologized, like this is this amazing dream place to work at. It can be, but as Farzad mentioned, there is a price to pay for changing the world at times. So when we, as investors, we keep on tweeting on Twitter, when is Giga Berlin going to hit 4K, 5K per week production? But it's people like Farzad, whether it's in distribution or our friends or teammates in manufacturing, who are there, and you finally see these highs. I see this picture like 4,000 Model Ys built per week in Giga Berlin, or Giga Shanghai making its 1 million car. But these are a moment of high. Behind all these moments of highs, there were a lot of ups and downs. Farzad, what do most of us don't see behind this story? What were some of the sacrifices or the creative problem solving we needed to make to get to these places?
Oh, dude. So you know what image comes to mind? I remember very vividly. I remember this very, very vividly. So we were in the middle of, this is an example of kind of giving the audience an idea of what it's like. I remember we were in the middle of the Model 3 ramp, and they were finally hitting 5,000 per week, which was that crazy threshold to be profitable, right? And then we're cranking on to 10,000 per week. But what happened during that time? There was a huge influx of cars in the fleet. There were a lot more cars coming out, a lot more cars that were being shipped to dealerships, that were being shipped to service centers. And we went from shipping, what is it, like 80,000, 90,000 cars per year, 60,000 to 500,000 by 2020. So a 5Xing, more than a 5X in a very short period of time. You think about all the parts that are involved in that, all the additional cars that are out there, driving around in the snow and ice, getting into accidents. Somebody complaining about their trim being misaligned, somebody complaining about their thing being misaligned, the freaking maybe some faults in the chairs or the seats that we had to get swapped out. Just a bunch of stuff that had to be dealt with through that ramp. And the distribution network at that time when I was there was struggling to keep up. And the facility that was at basically went from, during that time period, from say like 1 or 2 days of backlog, we called it. What was it? It was 17,000 lines on like 1,500. It was like 15, 16 days behind, essentially. 16, 15. So when you read all those articles of like, there's, I'm having an issue getting my part, sorry. I'll personally say sorry. It was our team. We were struggling to keep up, Elon's lawyers, don't come knocking on my door. This is public information, okay? Watch it. No. But what happened is during that time, our team was literally me and like 2 other people were trying to solve this problem. We were trying to solve this problem. And really the only way to solve this at the time wasn't to just throw up a new building in that day, because you can't throw up a new building in a day. How do we get more parts out of the same footprint while there's an onslaught of trailers coming in, showing up randomly, that you have to make room for in a warehouse that's already full and probably understaffed by like 60%. And our goal was we need to get back down to 1 day behind. That was our goal. And I remember very vividly, I was talking to my boss and one of the engineers that was there to help us. And we were trying out new things constantly. And Greg kept saying, not good enough, not good enough. 30% improvement, not good enough. 40% improvement, not good enough. We would try something else. We would go back to 0% improvement because it was a fatal error we had, and we had to stay late and redo it. And then the next day, we're behind again, not good enough. Again and again and again for days, weeks at a time. And I remember very vividly taking my hat, because it was after like the 17th time I was told not good enough. And I took my hat and I fucking slammed it on the floor and I walked out. I was like, why am I doing this? Why am I doing this? I'm like literally my brain's about to explode. I cannot think of any other solutions. I can't push any harder than I've never pushed this far in my life. And you're telling me to push harder. I don't know how. And so at that point, I almost was ready to give up. So I went outside. It was in the winter. It was like 20 degrees outside Fahrenheit. It's just freezing cold. Freaking stand there. I just get some freaking cold air in my head. I go back in. Okay, very good. I relax. I go in. I sit in front of my computer. I'm like, okay, so what is the fatal flaw here? What's the problem? And then we started to kind of figure out that there was a problem with how the product was flowing to the outbound floor, to where we weren't timing up things in the most optimal way. And then once we started figuring that out, everything changed. And then we went from being 17 days behind to our facility being the best in class by like 2 to 3x. Okay. And we were so caught up and everybody else was screwed. And then we had to go to their buildings and help them out, essentially. And this is not because they're bad. It's because it was just such a difficult thing to handle, right? And we're just lucky enough to have cracked the code, because we sort of had the right talent mix and the right sort of drive in the team that we had at that time. And honestly, it's because we were pushed against a wall and we had rocks being thrown at us and there was a fire above us and freaking spikes from below. And it forced us to get really, really creative. And then I remember super vividly, to celebrate, we went out to a bowling alley, when we finally cracked the code and we started pushing all our knowledge out to everybody. And we're all drunk and hugging and kissing and we're celebrating all together. And as a team that overcame this ridiculous thing. And that's very similar to that picture you sent for me, is that sort of memory. But the amount of pain I had to go through to experience that, it was insane. It was almost to the point where I'm like, why? I got to the point where I don't even know why I'm doing this. Like, is this really worth it? And it was. Looking back, it was. Because we won. Right? That's very important, because we won. And I think that made the feeling a very, very positive one. If we had failed, I don't know if I can say the same. I probably, after enough reflection, I would have said, well, there were some key learning lessons there, but the feeling would be a lot less rosy. It would be a lot more, I don't know, maybe more dark. But it truly felt like we overcame something that felt impossible. And that wasn't the only time. We did that, I don't know, probably dozens, 14, 16 times where we had that sort of level of intensity that we had to get through. And so you think about when you do the first one, it feels incredible. You do the second one, then you feel like you have something going on. You do the third one, then it's addicting, because you know you can go and change people's lives. Literally, the people that are working 80, 100-hour weeks, you can put in a solution that's going to literally change their lives. They're going to be able to see their family again. And it's because of something you helped build. Sign me up.
That is beautiful. It reminds me a lot of like US military veterans. They will say sometimes what they're doing is they're just fighting for their brothers and sisters next to them, taking care of everyone. And so with a corporate job, for many of us, it's a paycheck, it's a way of surviving, it's a way of meeting friends, great people. But I think what looms larger in a company like Tesla is there is a stronger sense of mission. And I'm curious to hear, for you personally, I think back then it was Master Plan Part 2. What was your relationship with Tesla's mission? So back then it was about solar roofs, EVs for all major segments, self-driving, which is 10 times safer. We've achieved that. The last one, having your car make money for you when you're not driving it, working towards it. Over time, did you feel more inspired, more connected with this mission? Or did parts of you start feeling jaded? Walk us through how you felt.
It was never jaded. It was always, everything we ever did and touched and put in place was with this context in mind, always, 100% of the time. It was, how do we advance the mission so that more and more people can drive Teslas and, buy solar roofs and solar panels so we can make the world a better place. Always, everything. And it was very easy to drive that sort of culture even in distribution because the thought process was very simple. People will buy cars, cars will sometimes break. If we don't give them a good experience, they will never buy the Tesla again. Simple. So we had a very direct, very, very, very direct input into ensuring this mission was 100% successful. And it drove everything. So even in the very, very tough moments, we always thought about, but dude, think about it. If we don't figure this out, you're going to have people that are going to hate Tesla, and then this will fail. And the reason why we're all here trying to push this thing forward, we're not part of that mission anymore. And it resonated with almost everybody. Of course, you'll have your minority that leave because it's just not for them, which is completely fine. But for everybody that stayed and for everybody that kind of was reinvigorated or very inspired by that mission, it was quite powerful. And I think it's really core to Tesla's long-term success that they have such a simple, elegant, yet powerful mission that can be applied to all parts of the business. And that is tremendously helpful when you're pushed against the wall and you're asked to do the impossible over and over again. It's very helpful to have that mission because, again, once you succeed, it feels incredible. It really feels like you figured something out that you didn't think you would be able to do, and then those lessons you take with you forever.
That success is important validation for all the hard work. And some teams have it harder than others at Tesla. Today, for Tesla service, some people share amazing experiences. Some people share experiences that could be better. But nobody in Tesla service team wakes up in the morning and say, I want to give my customers an inconsistent experience. So what's that behind the scenes challenge that is happening that most people don't realize?
Yeah, that's a very, very good question. I think the complexity of the supply chain and the complexity of the fact that you have a bunch of hundreds of individual nodes that are run by humans is what creates the complexity. So the service network is made up of tens of thousands of parts, maybe 20,000. You think about all the models that Tesla has and anything that could, like literally that anything that could break in your car, we have a part for. They have a part for. I don't work for them anymore. I should be saying they. They have a part for. Actually, I'm an investor. Screw it. We have a part for it. Okay. We. That's right. And so you think about all that. So any of what you could have a part that gets replaced 100 times a day because I don't know. It used to be the 12-volt battery, or maybe they have a recall on a thing on a part, or it's tires or something. That one part, if it has a supply chain issue, or the supplier is having a problem, or there's a truck breaks down and it's not able to deliver, the parts that we need to ship out, or there's a recall on the part from the supplier, okay, or there's a missed shipment from a warehouse, or the delivery person doesn't deliver it to the right service center, or it doesn't get received right, or it doesn't get inventoried right, or it doesn't get installed right? Like all these things could go wrong in that entire supply chain. And the fact that you're repeating that over and over again at hundreds of different service locations introduces, statistically, you're going to have a certain percentage of those things. Something's going to go wrong at some point. Some part is going to be wrong at some location at some time. And as Tesla gets bigger and their install base gets bigger, the net number of people that will be unhappy with something that has gone wrong will naturally get bigger unless Tesla figures out how to reduce the percentage, which the only way they can really do that is making cars that never break and never get into an accident, ever. And that's been their goal from the beginning. I'm actually quite, like, to put into perspective, I'm surprised there aren't more complaints about Tesla service, to be completely honest. Because you think about Tesla, they've gone from 200,000 in 2020 to 1 million in 2021 to 1.3 million in 2022, roughly. And I'm not hearing that many more service problems personally, because I watch for that stuff. I used to work in that division, and it's not that bad. I feel like it was worse back in the day, especially as a percentage of the business, it was way worse. So what that's telling me is as Tesla's getting bigger, they're actually bringing that percentage down. And I saw with my own two eyes, but working in that org, I could see that the percentage of things that were going wrong was coming down quite dramatically in some cases. But it just naturally will get bigger. And then you also put into into a different sort of level, the fact that anything with the word Tesla, Elon Musk, and problem has incredible click-through rate on the internet. So
Exactly.
any single problem that Tesla will face will be written about. And it will appear as if it has an outsized impact versus other automakers, when in reality it's just getting amplified to a degree that no one else gets, because those keywords make those publications a lot of money. And that's just what it is. So, all things considered, I think Tesla should, and I think will, always try to make the service experience as good as humanly possible for absolutely everybody. And I can tell you from working there that it was a nonstop mission to get that service network to be perfect. But unfortunately, I would say that as long as humans are involved, there will always be something wrong. And the goal is just to make it as small as possible. That doesn't mean that it can't be better now. It can absolutely get better now. But I try to look at it from like a holistic point of view, because that's the world that I come from. So everybody deserves perfect service. Everybody should speak up if they feel like they're not getting the service they deserve. But all in all, I think Tesla has made incredible improvements. And I would argue that Tesla's service experience is better than any other car experience ever, because it is centralized, because they control it. You don't hear internet articles about Joe Schmo going to Mike's body shop or Mike's service center and their horror stories. I remember when I had an iScar, every other service story was a disaster. Every other service visit was either because of price shock, or it took forever, or I got scammed, So, and then if I compare it to every single one of my service visits, I've had three different Teslas, and I've had 4 different service visits. Five, not related to tires because of freaking nails on the road. I'll give them a pass on that, because it was quick every time. It's been pleasant. And 4 of those were mobile service. I didn't even have to leave my house. So that's my experience.
That's a great point. For those of us who are listening to the live stream, if you're a Tesla owner, share down in the chat. What's your personal experience with Tesla service over time? Have you seen it improve, stay the same, got worse for you? Let us know. We all want to learn. Nothing's perfect. I think what Tesla has done a great job in recent years was, how in every year's impact report, they have this chart with supercharger uptime that shows like 99.8%. And today, no one disputes that supercharger is the best public EV charging network. No one's going to pick, let's say, Electrify America over a supercharger if they had a choice, especially if superchargers opening up to non-Tesla EVs, especially with V4 coming up, the first one in the Netherlands. I wonder if Tesla could also do the same for, say, service hours over miles driven. And just share it comparing with the rest of the industry. Equip us with facts, with data to let us know how this improvement is happening. Because sometimes all we see is just that one CNBC article or that one Twitter thread saying this sucked. But that's 1 out of 2 million owners per year right now, 3 million owners per year next year. So we hope that Tesla does that, because I can appreciate it, talk to some friends in service. It is tough. They're making a lot of improvement, and I think the recognition is important as well.
100%. Yeah, that's the one thing if there's one negative from my Tesla experience, to be completely honest, is that I always felt like I was the heel. Meaning like I was always the one that was getting beat up constantly, because service is not really a profit driver for Tesla, it's a cost center. And so we're not only weighing down the profitability, we are also literally the ones that are customer facing. Sales is kind of customer facing, but once they give you the car, you got your car. You don't talk to your salesperson again, or like when you bought the store. But who do you talk to all the time if something goes wrong? Our team, constantly. So we are the customer facing experience. And then it was constantly like, you suck, you suck, you suck. Everywhere you read, you suck, you suck, you suck, you suck, constant, bro. And then that was happening while we were freaking in the middle of hell. Okay? It's, yeah. So I agree. I think shout out to every single person at Tesla and any service company for any car ever. You guys are freaking amazing. That's fine. You're not perfect, and I know you're getting better, but y'all rock. Okay? You're keeping the cars on the road. Thank you. Finally, somebody said it.
That's the way. Raymond has a question in the live stream. He's saying, Did you read yesterday's Washington Post article about Tesla? It's a negative take on every significant Tesla news. FUD on mainstream media can be disappointing.
I didn't read it. No, I stopped reading anything that mainstream media puts out on Tesla. I just, yeah, that's because of that. It's like, okay, cool. You're telling me you know the story better than me. I've been researching it for 10 years, and I've have friends that researched this for years, and we're not incentivized to sort of just 100% drive clicks. We actually want to tell the full story. Cool. All right, then you do you, and I'm going to start reading your crap because it's crap. That's it. Yeah.
When Tesla employees see articles like this, are they able to compartmentalize it, or are there moments where it's taken personally? Like, how could they say this about my work? And how do people process it? I know there's a wide range of ways of dealing with this.
From my experience, I don't want to speak on behalf of everybody at Tesla, but from my experience when I was there, it was very easy for people to compartmentalize because everybody knew that kind of mainstream media is just full of shit. Sorry, excuse me for cursing, but like they don't care. From my experience, because they know what they're working on. They know that they're going to have a negative slant. What is it? If it bleeds, it reads, right?
Mm.
Like if it's something that's controversial or negative, it will get a lot of clicks.
Mm.
And I don't think anybody ever took it. What if anything? It actually, I believe, it may have helped the improve morale in a way, especially for the people that are really bought in, because they really wanted to prove them wrong really badly. And maybe I'm speaking for myself because that was the feeling I was getting. If I would get wind of like during 2017 and 2018, 2019, my God, you could have picked any article and it was scathing, right? It was the worst. Tesla is the most racist, sexist, terrible place of all time. They hate people. Everybody who works there is a slave. And everybody who thinks Elon Musk is doing the right thing is a moron, and it should be shorted to hell, and it should go bankrupt. That was basically the narrative. And I'm there like, okay, bro, watch this. Watch this. And yeah, that was me. I don't want to speak on behalf of everybody, but I do know some folks, like one of my really close buddies from there, I think has the same exact inclination. And he was my boss and a leader. And yeah, he's like, yeah, okay, let him say it. That's fine. Let him say it. Okay. They can say whatever they want. Let them say it. We'll do it. Let them say it. We'll do it. It was very cool. And that was what was so addictive about working there is like, you almost have to have a sense of, you almost got to have like a little edge to you. Like you have to be like, like I would not recommend, it teaches you how not to be sensitive. It teaches you how not to be like, very, take stuff to heart. You almost like, like you turn it around on the other side and you're like, okay, watch, like I'm going to smack you around. Watch this, I'm going to prove you wrong. And that I think that's very powerful because in times of difficulty, having that sort of mentality is very helpful to help you push through that. And yeah, it's wild. Dude, you're bringing up so many great memories. So many weird ones too.
I'm learning so much. Farzad, how does that translate into your current act in life? Recently, yourself and Alexandra are noisemakers talked about that. As you grow, there will be people who just don't like you no matter what you say. Even if it makes perfect sense, even if you show the facts, they will just won't agree. And how has that experience in Tesla strengthened you today?
Yeah, great, very good question. It definitely gave me a little bit of a better understanding that it gave me a toughness, right? I built a little bit of toughness from Tesla that said, if you think something is important enough, do it. Don't be afraid to experiment. Don't be afraid to fail. If you fail, correct yourself because use it as a strength. If you fail and you correct it right away, it's a way for you to show that you care and that you're a man of your word and you're somebody who will correct his mistakes or her mistakes, right? Like it's one of those things where you can turn into a strength. I think vulnerability and really trying your best to do the best possible job you can and not being afraid to try are these things that I think a lot of people are afraid to do because of fear of failure or fear of being called out for being an idiot or something along those lines. And Tesla helped me to put those fears aside in a closed environment And then I'm like, okay, so if they work there, if it worked there, why wouldn't it work on YouTube? And so I did it on YouTube. And for the first few months, it was phenomenal because I was getting no haters and I was getting no people, calling me all kinds of stuff. But now I am, but that's okay. It was a little bit of a adjustment period because being a public facing person has its strengths and weaknesses.
Yes.
And the weaknesses is that you are making yourself vulnerable for anybody to come after you because you've put yourself out there. And they have every right to say whatever they want. Now, when you are being called something that is not true, it's very off-putting at first and quite confusing because you're like, this person hasn't even met me. Like, how do you know these things? But then after a while, you realize like, okay, you know what? They have every right to do it. But then you start, in my opinion, like the way I've been able to rationalize not blocking anybody or not muting anybody, and like not really reading comments too much. And when I read something bad, I'm like, okay, whatever. Like I kind of move on quite quickly. Is that these folks tend to have the best engagement on YouTube. They will watch the whole video and they will skip every ad, or they'll watch ads, I don't know. And then they'll dislike it to drive engagement, and then they'll comment on the video. So like these people are helping me have more reach. I'm like, okay, great. So you're literally helping me make a little bit more money on YouTube. Thank you.
That's right.
And so for me, it's like, okay, so once it started clicking that way, I'm like, okay, great, whatever. Let him do it, So it helped in that respect. I think I can see how YouTube can be a very daunting place for people that might be afraid to speak their mind. I'm still, discovering that process, like, trying to be more brave and trying to be more myself as much as I can. Like my whole thing is like, I want you to see me for who I am at all times. I don't want to hide anything from you. I'm not, if I don't want to share something, I'll tell you, right? I don't want to be some kind of guy I just want to be authentic. I want to be me at all times. I don't want to be some weirdo in front of a camera who's not himself. That not that there's anything weird, but it's like, that in my head, I want to be me at all times. So, and I think that's important. But you're gonna open yourself up to criticism, to you as a person, and that's what sucks about being vulnerable in yourself on camera. Is that when you get attacked and you get shit on, it's because of who you are as a person, not your character on camera. And that's why I think some folks might have characters on camera, because they create the separation between themselves and the actual person they are. And so it might be quite easy to kind of like shut that away. Because they're like, well, they're not attacking me, they're attacking YouTube me, But in this case, I am me at all times. And yeah, it's fun. I'd rather it be this than anything else, to be honest. Yeah.
That's right. Well, there's a lot of downsides. There's also upsides. One of the best compliments we can often get is when someone meets us and they say, you are exactly the same person I see on YouTube.
It's great. It's awesome. Completely awesome.
Cheers to that.
Cheers. Oh my God, I would have drank my beer.
I'm drinking water now, but if Tesla launches Giga Beer, I'll drink Giga Beer.
Okay, perfect.
You talk about mainstream media, talk about how people with or without context may share certain points of views. And 8 years ago, there were articles like this saying, it's crazy, it's impossible for Tesla to make 500,000 cars by 2020. They did it.
Impossible.
Impossible. Today, the same thing seems to be playing out. It's impossible for Tesla to make 20 million cars by 2030. You just released the video less than an hour ago, building a case that 20 million is not far off. In fact, we're already locked in at around 10 million today with the existing footprint. History doesn't repeat itself all the time, but it rhymes. What do you think is going on in the minds of Tesla employees right now?
Here's some news about
Tesla. I think Siri's trying to talk to you.
Exactly.
God. Siri is bad in every country, bro.
We need some ChatGPT love.
I know. Come on, Tim. Get on it. Come on, Tim Apple. Get on it, bro. I think probably something very similar than what was going through their minds 10 years ago. It's like, hey, we have these very ambitious goals in front of us. People are doubting it. People don't believe that we're going to get there. It's going to take a massive amount of work, but we're going to get it done because we're a bunch of badasses. And what I find very interesting is that I don't know, you would think people would learn. You would think people would learn from, to your point, history doesn't repeat, but it rhymes. But Tesla has the same CEO and leader in Elon Musk, but it has a stronger team since 10 years ago and 15 or 5, 6, 7 years ago or whatever. Why wouldn't they be able to achieve this goal? And I think that's the way I approach it. I think maybe folks do the other way where they're like, why would they be able to achieve this goal? I tend to take it the other way. It's like, I understand the core competencies of the company. Why wouldn't they? There's too much stuff here that's rhyming, to your point. Too much stuff here that rhymes, too much stuff here that's set up for them to achieve this. It's just a question of execution. And what is Tesla extremely good at from the standpoint of scaling products and going from a very small number to a big number? Execution. So how is this any different? And that's why I can't get my head wrapped around it. And maybe that's like a natural bias I have that doesn't allow me to do it. But to me, it's very obvious is that they've done it before. They have a stronger team. They have more knowledge. They figured out how to make it so that they can do more with less in a smaller footprint with less parts in a brand new way that no one else is doing with more talent. And they can use processes that have already built out. And they're leveraging their relationships in a supply chain that they never were able to tap in the way they have now. They can leverage the tier 1 suppliers in the way they've never had before. They can leverage governments in a way they never had before. Guys, like, why wouldn't they be able to do that? They didn't do it. They did it in 2020 without that kind of insane help. And now they're surrounding themselves with that skill set and knowledge and know-how. You tell me they can't do it again? Come on. So that's where I come from. And again, this is kind of might be a little arrogant and a little like biased, but that's how I feel. And if I'm wrong, I'm wrong. It is what it is, but that's how I feel.
As an outsider, the way I see it is, the last time this happened in Tesla, the 500,000 cars impossible by 2020, Tesla was loss-making. Today, Tesla is one of the most profitable companies in the industry.
You got it.
Today, Tesla has executives or leaders or production line crew, software engineers who's been through original production hell. So they're probably looking at this and going, nah, it's okay.
Exactly. Yeah, and the point you made about profitability, bro, like they did it from a standpoint of not being profitable. They got to 500,000 by 2020. And they're to your point, like this is such a brilliant point. They're profitable and they have a ton of cash and they have no debt and they have the same leadership with more experience and they have Elon Musk and they have all these relationships. Okay. Doubt them. Go ahead. Doubt them. See how that plays out.
We live in a world where we need to check everything with ChatGPT nowadays. So I also asked ChatGPT version 4.
Okay, good.
What do they think? It's very small, but the three biggest risks ChatGPT says is 1, supply chain constraints. Fair. I see Tesla working towards it. 2nd, competition. And then the 3rd one, which I think is the most credible one, is the regulatory and political risk. Like what if there are trade tensions? What if there's wars or anything else that goes on? So that's what ChatGPT feels.
Okay. ChatGPT has, 1 and 3 I can go with. 2, I think she's taking too much of the bear argument. Yeah, but 1 and 3 I can go with. Yeah, for sure. I can see some stuff there.
It'll be interesting to see what version 5 says.
Yes. Version 5 is going to be like 20 million secured by 2030. Don't ask me ever again.
I'm curious, one of the most popular, like the HBO series now has been The Last of Us. Have you seen that?
Yep. We just finished it last week, actually. Yeah.
Nice. So I used to play the original video game as well. Great video game. I'm so happy that the original cast, the voice actors are involved in it as well. So when people watch a film like The Last of Us, and if you are in the industry like an actor, you see the behind the scenes, like all those horse riding scenes, they actually look like that. Not real horses, because the horses have to be shot, have to fall down. Like it's it's like the underbelly of a Cybertruck and a horse on top.
Yeah, right.
And that's the behind the scenes. So when Tesla employees or former employees see Tesla events like Tesla Investor Day, it's not just Elon Musk, it's a whole crew behind it, but it's also not just these 18 people. There's so much goes on behind the scenes. What are Tesla employees seeing here to bring this to life that most of us from the outside do not?
I think they see their boss up there talking really intelligently about what they do every day. And I think they're probably looking for facial expressions based on what people are saying to see how they're reacting to it. Like if Elon, like that's what I look for, you know? I look for like if Elon says something like, what did Drew do? Let me see Zach. Like what was Zach's expression? Like, you know, he would say something on profitability and Zach would be like, you know, or like, you know, that's why I try to look for that, you know. I'm like, okay, what are they saying based on that? You know, what are they thinking? What are they thinking? But I think they're just, I mean, I think they're just seeing their leaders up there just communicating all the work that the team has been doing, and I know that they are relating that message in a honest, correct way based on what their teams are working on. And a lot of these folks, if not all of them, are in the weeds. Like they are actively working in it. You know, they're to truly understand what's going on. So I think that's what they see. I think they see a very competent leadership group. I think they see people that have their backs, and they're trying their absolute best to move the company towards a great place. And I think they see, you know, the CEO and Elon that's really setting a very clear vision for where the company needs to go. That makes it very easy to buy in as an employee. And knowing that they're all up there, all on the same page is very powerful to ensure that the team is 100% focused on delivering on that mission. So I think that's what they see. That's what I see. Yeah.
Thank you, Farzad.
Yeah, of course.
So there's a lot of comments in there. Some people asking about Last of Us season 2. I think Bella Ramsey said they may start filming end of this year. Raymond saying a Cybertruck would be great for a zombie apocalypse.
Yes,
I cannot agree more. Farzad, you've got a pre-order for Cybertruck. What's your queue? Like, when do you expect to get it?
I don't know, man. I was the day after. I was the morning after when I placed my, because I'm like, oh my god, what is that? You know, and like the presentation with like them breaking the window, like it was like the vibe was off kind of thing, and I was like, this looks insane. This looks crazy. And then I woke up in the morning and I saw the picture. I'm like, damn it, I gotta buy it. So I put my reservation in, and I think I'm 100 and some odd thousand, 136 or something. I don't know, something like that. I'm guessing. And yeah, I'm hoping I get it soon. I hope I'm not too far off the top of the queue because I'm located in Austin. I bought it with my @tesla.com email, and I have the full spec. I bought the top of the trim. So those are like 3 things that are going for me. You know, hopefully the employee email does something, top line spec, and I'm local to the factory. I'm like literally right next door, you know, not right next door, but I'm a 40-minute drive from the factory. So, yeah, I think for me, I'm hoping it's this year, but I wouldn't be upset if it's next. It has to be next year. If it's not next year, I'm going to cry. I need it. I need that truck, bro. I have so many ideas for like content and like what to do with it to like show people the car. One of my old neighbors that moved to a different place, they're so nearby, we still hang out with them. He is a die-hard Texan, Darren, like a hardcore, born and bred. You know, he has the thickest Texas accent. He worked in an oil field for like years. He has a Ford F-250. He's got it tricked out, and I'm like, Travis, I'm gonna take my Cybertruck. I'm gonna pull your ass down the street, bro. He's like, no, you ain't, Bubba. And I'm like, well, watch, bro. And like, we're just gonna make a bunch of content around that, you know, just like a hardcore Texan. He's like initial impression and sort of his evolution of his thought process on the Cybertruck and kind of seeing where his head is at. So I think that's gonna be super fun, and I can't wait to get it so I can drive around and be that douchebag in the triangle, freaking wiping everybody off the line at the traffic lights. I'm going to put up flags and freaking raps. I don't care. I'm going to be so obnoxious, and I can't wait. I'm so excited.
I look forward to that. For those of you who are looking forward to that episode of the Cybertruck with Travis, please subscribe to Farzad's YouTube channel. You find it in the video description.
Thanks for the plug.
Farzad, it's been 18 months since you left Tesla. What new reflections do you have today about how it's changed your outlook, your values, your philosophy?
I think the biggest one is really tied around not being afraid to try things. Truly, that's the if you have a thought or an idea or something you want to do, just do it. Just do it. Experiment. Have fun. You know, don't be afraid of failure. Don't be afraid to be criticized negatively for something. Don't be afraid to offend. Just don't be afraid. You know, try not to be afraid. It's hard. It's much harder. You know, it's much easier said than done. But it really taught me that lesson. And I think I've also grown an appreciation for really having a job or a something that I'm working on that really is more than just an individual. It's and make less noise. Never. Never. I've just grown an appreciation for doing things that are bigger than me in some way, you know, like I think Tesla in a way is something that's bigger than the individual. It's really working towards a better future. I think that's the sort of inspiration that Elon Musk has sort of created. And you know, he gets criticized in the media all the time for whatever he says and does. But I think ultimately his heart is in the right place. And I think a lot of people see that and feel that. And I think that's very inspirational. And for me, it's like, okay, how can I do that? How can I work on something that's bigger than self? Like, what can I do? And you know, this YouTube channel thing that I do is very small in comparison. Like it's like basically it's non-existent. But at the very least, I'm trying to like uphold the same morals around, you know, be as honest as possible, be as vulnerable as possible, and work towards something that's going to be greater than self. That's going to help. It's going to help people, you know. And right now, I'm really focusing on the Tesla stuff because that's what's really interesting to me. And over time, I'd like it to be a place where it's the place where people come for ideas, how to think about the future, and how to be surrounded by a community of people that are excited about the future and want to build it together. That's kind of sort of my guiding principle. And if I can figure out how to do that effectively, great. And I'm always going to try to make that happen in some way. And I do that with experimentation because I have no idea how to get there, but I'm trying the things that make me happy that I think kind of get me there. And so I'm just doing it. And that's it. Just do it, man. Just like Nike. Just do it.
Just do it. Today's video was sponsored to you by Nike.
There we go. Send the check.
Shout out to Alexandra, who is in the chat. Again, making less noise. DRK giving her some congratulations on Moody's. Moody's forgot to put at the bottom the note that Alexandra made us do it.
Yeah.
Farzad, you're here in Austin. You're in the ground zero of the future happening. Tesla headquarters, SpaceX, Starbase is not too far away. Would Act 2 be one day in the cards with either Tesla or SpaceX? Maybe not in the same role, maybe in investor relations, communications.
No thanks. Not that. Definitely not that job. Hell no. I love it. I mean, I would be so honored if I was given that opportunity. I'd be like, I don't think you can pay me enough. I mean, never say never, you know. To be completely honest, if there is an opportunity that may come up in the future that could like really break me away from doing my own thing, maybe it's something with Twitter, to be completely honest. But I think I really think that the more I'm doing this YouTube thing, the Twitter thing, you know, whatever I'm building here, whatever the hell this thing is, I think there's something there. I think there's something there. I think if I look at it very like honestly, and I try not to, you know, pat myself in the back and say, "Oh, good job, buddy," like blah blah blah, you know. I think the growth of the channel in some respects and the growth of, say, my platform, I think is some sort of data point that says that there's something there that people enjoy and something that people value. And I feel like I need to figure out what is the maximum, like what is the limit that I can do that. Because I feel like if I stopped doing that and pursuing that, then it would be like a what if for me. I would go like, I think I would have a regret to not fully find out where this thing ends, you know? And who knows? It might never end, or it could end tomorrow. I don't freaking know, right? But I got to push it. I got to push it and see where it goes. And that to me is very rewarding and something that I really enjoy doing on a daily basis. Literally, we were talking before we went live. I'm obsessed. I'm literally obsessed. And so I think that is what I want to do for the foreseeable future. But who knows? Maybe life circumstances are different in the future, and maybe there might be an opportunity that comes up, and it's like something I can't say no to. And then who knows? I might be freaking digging a hole with Boring Company. I don't freaking know, bro. I don't know. But right now, I really like what I'm doing. But Elon and Tesla, they treated me really well, and I would at the very least consider it. But I really like what I'm doing, so that's kind of my answer. Yeah.
If the last 18 months is any signal, you have done well. The robots are coming. Maybe all 50,000 subscribers are Tesla bots, but they are clearly very supportive. You've got 500 videos. Again, a lot of people are really paying attention to what you're saying. And it's not just the quantity of people. As you recently noted, Pierre Faragu follows you. You are the 69th person.
I hope he still follows me.
How do you feel?
I haven't checked if it was following me after that tweet.
Yeah.
I should go check. Let's go check right now. Let's see if he was offended by it. Let's see. I'll tell you live right now. Is Pierre Faragu still following Farzad? Survey says yes. Okay. Oh, he's got 70 now. Son of a bitch. He upped his follower count to 70.
You are 69. No one can take that place.
All right. I'll take it.
What does this mean for you?
It's humbling, man, because it's something I respect Pierre a lot. He's somebody I look at him and I'm like, not only is a really cool French guy with an awesome accent and great fashion sense, right? And tall and handsome and funny, but he's also very talented and super smart. And he's very accomplished and a little intimidating because he's just really smart. He knows what he's talking about. So it's very humbling when somebody like that only has 69 followers, I'm one of them, and I'm just literally shitposting on Twitter half the time. And he follows me. So I'm hoping the algorithm is cleaning it up for him. He's not seeing a lot of my content, But it's very humbling. I think it's I don't know. It feels good. It feels good. I couldn't agree more, DRK. It feels really, really good. And it's something I really value. But at the same time, the one thing I'm trying really hard to do in this sort of thing that I have is that I don't want to tailor my content to get a specific type of viewership. I want to be myself 100% of the way, 100% of the time. And whoever comes along, comes along. And unless I do that, I feel like I will hit a wall of trying to please people in a certain way. And that's sort of been my strategy with my channel is like, as long as I don't cater to an audience and I literally just speak my mind and create the content I want to create, then the people that will most likely stick with you for the long haul will come because they'll see me grow just as they're growing, like that. I'm not talking about the numbers, like my personality, my the way I think, my thought process, my interaction, my skills. They'll see that, and I'm hoping that's inspirational for people in a sense. And if it helps somebody, it helps somebody. And that's ultimately my goal is to, I put it right in my description. I try to be valuable. And I'm not just trying to be valuable with my Tesla stuff. I'm trying to be valuable by being a data point that says, dude, just get out there. Just try it. Just be in front of a camera and try shit. I don't know literally, that's what I'm doing. I'm getting in front of a camera and trying shit. And so I hope that helps somebody to, be more fulfilled and maybe help them not be afraid to pursue their passions. Because ultimately, I think as human beings, I think we deserve that. And, yeah, maybe naively, I'm hoping that's helping somebody. And if it's helping one person do that, then nothing would make me happier. Yeah.
This is the way.
Yeah, man.
Steve Jobs in his Stanford commencement speech said that after getting fired from Apple, the heaviness of success was replaced with the lightness of starting again. And as you called out, what Farzad called out, our success can be a trap if we think, I need to do more of the same so that people like me, so that I continue in the same momentum. And so I think that's very important. There's a lot of burnout in careers for creators, like on YouTube as well, just trying to catch the same fire all along. But actually, what we want deep inside is to grow. So thank you for sharing that, Faza.
Of course, man. No, thank you for sharing that. So I resonate with that a lot. I really think, yeah, I mean, what you just described really speaks deeply to me. It really does, because it's like, yeah, it's very freeing when you are really, really just doing it because you love it.
Mm.
And I don't think nearly enough people experience that in their lives. And that's why I go back to like just being so thankful, because I know I have something special as far as like my time. And you know, Elon Musk himself said this, you know, time is the most valuable currency. A lot of people know this, and you know, I feel like every human being knows that, but when you put it within that context, it really becomes obvious just how important getting control of your time is. And whatever you can do to maximize that is, I think, going to bring out the most happiness out of your life in the long term. It will be difficult at times. It's going to be super hard. Like, I had a very weird adjustment period coming out of Tesla into this thing, where I was working like a madman for 10, 11 years straight, building up my career, achieving financial success, financial independence, all these goals that I had set for myself. And then I achieved them. And then for the next 6 months, I'm like, what the hell was this all for? What is going on? Like, you just have this like feeling of like, okay, so what's the point? Like, what's the point? You know, I became like really like philosophical. I'm like, what's the point? Why am I alive? What is my purpose here? Right? You actually have time to sit down and use your time to like be in your head for a second and like gauge and understand what's going on around you. And that's powerful. And I don't think enough people have that time. And I think whatever we can do as a society to maximize that time, I think it's going to be very valuable. It will be challenging. It's not going to be easy. Once we achieve that goal, for people to go through that time, but I think that time is going to be extremely valuable for the long term, and I think people will find true happiness over time.
I agree. The robots are coming, and with the robots, it frees up humanity to stop working on manual labor. We'll have more time to pursue what gives us meaning in life. And so, if you want to find out whether the robots are truly coming, please follow Farzad on Twitter.
I don't know when
Subscribe
they're
to his
coming.
YouTube channel. Yes, it's been a joy learning so much from you, and also just getting a perspective of life at after Tesla, how a veteran sees things from another perspective that most retail investors don't. Thank
Yeah,
you,
man.
Farzad.
Of course. Thank you so much for having me, dude. It's an absolute pleasure. I respect you a bunch, Darren. I really like your content. What I love about you is like you are such a professional, and you're so freaking awesome and nice. You're so easy to talk to. You're such a warm person. You're clearly brilliant, and I really encourage you to just do what you think is right. And I know you're in a tough, like, it's been a challenging day, a few days rather, and I have no doubt that you're gonna absolutely kill it in whatever you decide to do. And yeah, I just encourage, just trust in who you are, and just pursue that, you know. And if you ever need anything from me, dude, just let me know. I'll be more than happy to help you with whatever you need.
I will. I will shamelessly ask. I'll be in California in the first week of June. I would love for a Tesla employee to host my family and I for a short Fremont factory visit. We won't have to
Nice,
film. It's just we have a personal goal of visiting every Tesla factory. We've done Berlin, we've done Austin. Would love to visit Fremont. I'm planning to go to Shanghai end of October to visit Giga Shanghai. So if
nice.
you know anyone who's happy to give my family a short tour at Fremont, that would be lovely.
I will see what I can do. I have my contacts right now.
Thank you. Do you have a
Of
few
course, man.
minutes to take one or two audience questions, Arza?
Yeah, of course.
Okay. So if there are any questions, please ask us in the chat right now. And if you're missing anything, I'm just going to scroll up in the chat to see if there are new questions.
Ask your best question.
Oh, Raymond was talking about the Moody's upgrade for Tesla. What's your personal take?
About time, late as hell. What took them so long? Why aren't they the top-rated investment grade? Yeah, I mean, did the markets do anything once they announced that? I don't think it did anything, did it, on the markets?
Haven't seen anything yet. I think the markets will probably react a lot more after Wednesday, after we see what happens to the interest rate hikes.
I'm terrified, dude. What do you think's going to happen?
I'll admit I don't know enough, but 25 basis point increase seems to be the more likely scenario.
Yeah. I was talking to Alexandra on our Noisemaker podcast, and she thinks if the Fed does 25, we're screwed.
So
Yeah.
people hope it's zero. That's just no increase for now. Keep things give the world a little bit of stability and breathing room.
Yeah. I would go towards, and then Elon was saying today lower it by 50. So yeah, who knows? I'm scared. We'll see what happens.
DRK is sharing in the chat merchandise for those those t-shirts, like the one that Farzad's wearing right now, is available in every video. Great quality. If any of you have ordered any of Farzad's merchandise, let us know down in the chat. If there's any feedback for Farzad on quality, materials, shipping time, let us know as well.
Only good feedback. Don't blow up my spot in public, bro. I'm kidding. I'm kidding. Definitely let us know. Thank you, DRK. DRK, dude, DRK is a boss. He is a one of our mods on our chats. My God. DRK is the man. Awesome.
DRK, you are the man. Really
Yeah.
hope to see you one day. Yeah, he's been very active in a lot of Tesla chats, communities. I see you a lot in Tesla Daily and Rob Marwer's channel as well. Together last week's Twitter Spaces also. Now, we've learned a lot from Farzad. I'm new in this live stream journey, so I just want to give a preview for our next guest. And this Thursday, 9 a.m. Eastern time, New York time, we're going to have Yilun Zhang, who is based in New York City. He's actually been tweeting quite a fair bit recently on the automotive industry, what's happening in Tesla in China, EVs in China. And so I'm going to be speaking with him about Tesla. Is there any growth risk in China? What's happening with the market? Because in Q4, BYD was like taking the world by storm, but Q1 seems to be a different story. Yilun's a former product manager at Rivian. He's had 8 years in the automotive industry, and I look forward to speaking with him. You will find a link to that live stream preview in the video description soon. So it'll be 9 a.m. New York time, Thursday, 23rd March, 9 p.m. China and Singapore time, Thursday.
I can't wait for that. That's going to be fascinating.
Yes, I just learned so much from everyone, and I believe you do too as well. So thank you again, Farzad.
Of course, man. Thank you very much. Appreciate you.
Thank you, everyone.
It was great. Can't wait to do it again.
The broadcast. Thank you, everyone, for joining us live. See you all soon.
Bye-bye.